Good afternoon, and welcome to Jeff and the Rabbi. You know, Rabbi, the greatest thing about being secular, you know what that is? If you get away with it the first time, you're off scot-free. There is a statute of limitations to everything. Except that time about 10 years ago when I told my wife she looked like her mother. But for everything else, it's one and done. The problem for Jews is the Torah teaches us of an end game, a resurrection of the dead. That means what we do, good, bad, and ugly, is going to stick with us forever. That 8-track tape I inadvertently swiped from the Woolco department store in the 7th grade will still be on my record. That time I copied off of Jimmy Lee in Spanish class, still liable, which kind of sucks since Jimmy studied less than I did and he got every answer wrong. Even that time when I broke my mom's favorite vase by playing ball in the house and Greg, Marcia, and Cindy all took the blame for me so I wouldn't miss my camping trip. Wait, that could have been a Brady Bunch episode. I did watch a lot of TV as a kid, but you see where I'm going with this. For a Jew, everything is permanent because it's all coming back. No wonder we traffic so much in guilt. Living with an end game in mind really changes the way you live your life. If you believe that it's all over in the next 50 years, then you might as well do whatever it takes to live life in the moment. Take the candy from the baby. Weinstein every woman that you meet. Don't worry about really taking care of people in need. Just call the other person a racist and blame it on Trump. All of your Facebook friends will think you're a great person, and you never have to really lift a finger to help anyone. What could be easier? Sorry, folks, us Jews just don't have it that easy. We are in this for the long haul. So you might think that you can lie, cheat, and steal with impunity. You might think you can blame others for what you have done, but your Creator knows what's up. Luckily for us, He's a very forgiving God, but you still have to do a little work to get a pardon. Truthfully, that's not a bad deal when you're talking about eternity. So don't worry about it. The Rabbi here is going to show you what you need to really live a life with the real future in mind.
So first of all, kudos to you for managing to get Trump into that. I didn't know how in the world.
It was very difficult.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. That was very difficult.
Even in this one, managed to get Trump in there. Sometimes it's a gimme, but this one was you had to really work for that.
Go around a few corners to get that there.
Yeah.
Got to turn off my phone there too. But okay, go ahead.
Had to work for that, but okay, you got it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, we have this idea. First, let me just describe the concept of resurrection of the dead, which means that as Jews, we believe that everyone who has lived, if they are worthy of it, and it's a pretty broad definition. As a matter of fact, you have to be pretty bad not to be worthy of it.
Yeah, I Googled. I couldn't find where the breaking point was. Where's the cutoff line?
Yeah, so one of the first things is, by the way, that gets you cut off from it. If you don't believe in it.
Okay, good.
And that kind of makes sense, because after all, how's God going to give you something you don't believe in?
Well, no one ever told you about it, though.
Right. Okay. Well, if you don't believe in it passively.
Okay.
But let's say someone actively says, I don't believe in that. It's a bunch of hogwash. Right. So if that's the way they're thinking, then they might very well not benefit from this resurrection when it happens. But practically, we do believe that everyone who lived, and not only everyone who lived, everything that ever lived and existed will ultimately be resurrected. In other words, it dies and the world goes dormant and people are buried in the ground and everything shuts down. But then there is a reawakening, a resurrection, and everything is going to come back. The only difference will be that everything will come back. It'll be much more prominently spiritual. Whereas now, let's say we believe that you and I have souls, but it's really hard to see the soul. I mean, I can't look at you and see the soul. Some people feel that they can look at people and I can see their soul. And it is true. Sometimes there are certain people that you just feel you can, see see them shining. You can see the soul in them. But by and large, we don't run into that for most people.
No.
However, we do believe the resurrection of the dead will be a circumstance whereby all the intervening blockage, clothing, covering, opaqueness, whatever it is, that is in between the soul and the outside
Right.
will all be revealed. It'll become like translucent. Picture the light bulb. You could have a frosted globe, and
Right.
there's a filament inside, or whatever they have in there now,
Yeah.
right? So all you see is light shining out, but you can't really see the filament. But if it would be a translucent globe, like you see sometimes those bulbs, and you can
Yeah.
see the filament
Yeah.
there
No
just
doubt.
shining away,
Yeah.
right? So that's the way it's going to be, and people will be, spiritual, and people will look at things and they will see the spiritual content in them immediately. It'll be immediately perceived, and they'll look at each other and they'll see their soul inside of them. It'll be immediately perceived, and perhaps most importantly of all, the presence of God in the world will be immediately perceived by all people. It'll just be a constant reality. That's what resurrection of the dead is.
That'll be
Okay.
interesting.
Now, the real question is, and the question that we're asking is, why do you have to have that? What's the purpose of that? We do our life, we live our lives. You try to be good, I try to be good. Sometimes we make mistakes. We're going to have Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur coming up. We're going to repent.
Right,
We're going
right.
to try to be good, try to be our best and all that. Maybe there's reward, there's punishment, and all that stuff. But what is the deal? And even if you want to say, like from sort of a geopolitical perspective, the Jewish people return to Israel and rebuild
Right.
a temple and worship God there. But this whole resurrection of the dead concept comes after all of that. Why? Like, why do we need all of that? Isn't it enough to say that we believe that someday the Jews are going to come back from their exile and they're going to go to Israel and build a temple and live there, and the world is going to be made a just place, and the King of Israel will decree upon the whole world to live with peace and harmony and all kinds of good
Right,
things,
Right.
So then why does, after that, why do we need to know that there's going to be this next stage where where everything will shut down and then it will be resurrected?
I
What's
guess so
that
we can
all
feel like we're going to get a part of it, maybe. I don't know.
Right. So the real core idea here is that everything that we are living right now is eternal reality. Right now. That means you, me, the table, the luscious, beautifully appointed set that we're sitting in right here
That
in
is
our
beautiful, yes.
world headquarters here in Atlanta.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
need to take a break.
What's that?
The stream has broken.
How do we
I
take
do
it?
not know why.
We don't need to take a break. We're broken.
We're broken. So
We're broken.
what do we do? Will it continue on when we start again, or do we have to start over?
We can continue on. Could not begin stream.
Wait, let me ask you one question. Can you resurrect it?
Yeah, can you resurrect this feed? Maybe now, have you stopped us on YouTube as well?
No.
So I'm talking right
Yes.
now. Right there. We have a